Dylan Larson may have been his first victim, but the only thing that counts in the eyes of the national stage will be Dennis Nosland and everyone that comes after.
On that state lottery, so give it up again.
Woo!
Thank you. Thank you to Chuck for presenting the film for the festival.
How long did it take to make this film?
Cool. So we started shooting Mass State Lottery in March of 2020. And I had a version of the movie that existed by like early 2021. But I really felt like the more fun or more compelling duo of the film was going to be Rafki and Devlin. And sort of how their trajectories mirror one another, where they both have like an older mentor or romantic figure who then dies. And it's kind of like a breakup where you're getting together with the wrong person, you know? So I thought, okay, maybe there's something very interesting there with that, as opposed to focusing so much on Evans and Rafki. And so there's like probably 3 hours of material with Evans and Rafki that didn't make it into the movie. And it's probably gonna wind up being like a TV show or something at some point. I don't know. I'm gonna use it for something.
It seemed like just watching it, it's kind of like, I don't know, its own little epic masterpiece. Really thrown together in an editing style that is frustrating, probably.
Yeah. Watching the movie here in the theater and just, being at the back and getting a sense of like everyone's reactions to everything. I was also feeling a new experience myself watching this, which was that this is a very schizophrenic film. And I think that's part of the charm of it, maybe. It's definitely something that sets it apart from a lot of independent films that are made on the budget that we did make this for, which was only $7,000. And that's part of the reason why it took 4 years to make. And now it's like, oh man, we're on year 5. I got to promote this thing. I got to take this thing around. And you're kicking this off in the United States here, which is amazing. I'm bringing it to New York later next week and then Boston, and it'll have a screening in Los Angeles. And then after that, who knows?
We're honored. How many holes did you punch in the wall of your editing room making it?
Well, what happened was I wound up going through like several different machines. So when I started making this movie, I was still using a 2013 MacBook, which is, it's not impossible, but it's very close to impossible to make a feature film on something like that. And then I upgraded to an iMac. And then eventually it became, I got lucky in cryptocurrency. So then it became like a nice Mac Studio. And I was like, oh, wow, such a breeze. Actually using a machine that's designed for video editing, for filmmaking. And honestly, I was editing the movie up until like a week ago. So there's stuff in there that I was like, at the last minute, I was like, let me just throw that in. Let me take that out. Let me just, it's very, yeah.
Well, did you put yourself through torture figuring this out, the whole thing from start to finish?
Yeah, of course. I think a lot of people, when they describe their films as labor of love, I don't relate to that. This was a labor of frustration, for certain. Because there were so many different versions of the movie that I just was not satisfied with. And finally, I happened upon the version that I was submitting off to festivals. And I was like, okay, I think this is it. I think this is the one. But really, there were about 20 versions of this damn movie that existed. I had to expose, my friends and collaborators on and just sort of pass it off with that. We'd be like, do you think this one works better? Do you think this is, sticking, And this is it. This is the final cut.
I feel like the audience would have questions about this one. Does anyone have any questions?
Is there a reason for the change in format during the movie? Going like
The aspect ratios. The reason for that is I like all the aspect ratios, and I feel like they also convey different tones, And so I thought, like with the ending, we haven't done really 4:3 except for a couple of cutaways. If we just do the ending in 4:3, it makes it feel like its own little short film. Rafki's perspective on a lot of things is kind of cinematic. Like you're first given the idea that he wants to become a private detective because he's watching Dirty Harry. He's got this idea of, okay, this is what a hero is, which is this dirty cop who has no bother at all killing bad guys. And so I wanted to do a lot of like immediately widescreen shots when we're, focusing on him, and then full screen for when we're starting with Justin Murray and his disappearance. So that kind of represents reality. The letterboxing of the widescreen is more, okay, this is intended to be Raffi's perspective. This is more cinematic. And then the 4x3 at the end is just because I like it. So.
Anybody else?
Just if you can just speak generally, like is this your first feature film that you've made?
Yeah, so I did a sketch comedy series in 2019 with a lot of the guys that you see in this movie. And that was kind of like a practice run for, first of all, can we all work together? Can we work together remotely? And can we work together with a very limited sum of money? Because, we would put those out monthly on YouTube. It was called Comfort Systems. But this is the first feature film we did. And there were a couple of like hiccups in the 10 years before that where I tried to make 2 or 3 different movies. I shot them, but I was really just, my capabilities were not there at the time. And nothing really happened with that. One project did kind of evolve and become part of Comfort Systems. And this is the first one. We actually just shot another film back in November. That's going to come out next year. Maybe we'll be part of this festival next year. We'll see. But the idea now is, okay, we got this one out of the way. This one took a long time. It was a big learning lesson for what not to do when making a film. And it's going to make everything coming forward a hell of a lot smoother. So the idea now is I want to try and shoot something at least once a year.
I guess the follow-up to that was, this is such a, strange, convoluted, and I mean, there's a compliment, I thought it was great.
Thank you.
But it's something that it's like, what gets into your mind to, like, this is going to be my first major film. I'm gonna make it about a private detective who's morally compromised, and there may be a CIA plot, there may be various killers. It ends up just kind of an indeterminate ending, like all that stuff. What appealed to you about that as a feature film for your first feature film?
Well, I think, there's this interesting thing where if you delve into a lot of serial killers or terrorists from the late 20th century, you do see a CIA connection to some of them. And it's very peculiar. And so I thought at first when I was writing the script, it could be interesting to explore that. But in a cinematic medium, it's kind of left vague. I think you can definitely fall victim to over-explaining things. And so the tone of Mass Day Lottery and what I wanted for this movie was just to bring about an experience. It's a visual experience. You're just along for the ride. And, the minutia of like, how do Devlin and Ziegler know each other? What is Ziegler up to with the pharmaceutical company? What is all of that about? Does it really matter? The story is Raffi's story. So as long as we're following that, whether or not he accomplishes his journey, that's what matters.
Were you this is my last follow-up. Were you influenced at all by cruising?
Dude, I bought a cruising vinyl album the day I got into Athens. So absolutely, yeah. I love cruising.
It's been a while since I've seen it, but a lot of this reminded me of it. All the way up to the ending where it's like, what, we thought the killer was this, but maybe it's this, and so interesting.
Especially considering that this is like your first feature film. I thought a lot of it was the Welsh. Thank you. Can you just describe like the creative process of it from like the cinematography perspective?
Well, I'm the cinematographer as well. And there's a beautiful girl in the back who's my girlfriend, and I would boss her around and bully her and be like, hey, you got to shoot me over here. You got to shoot me over here. You got to shoot me and do it this way. No, that's not in focus. All right, we got to redo. So that would be the process for that. And then I also had another guy as well, Jacob A. Miller, who helped out a lot with shooting when specifically my character would be more active with the Devlin scenes at the very end when we're fighting the car and what have you. A lot of that was, okay, we're going to be staked down in the parking lot at 3 a.m. when nobody else is here, and then we're going to shoot it that way. And we're going to have like the shittiest little $15 boom mic that we can prop up here and just make sure it's not in the shot. so much of the movie was run and gun and just stealing shots. Let's shoot where we're not supposed to shoot, and playing things by ear that way. Thank you for the compliment.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Congrats on the film,
Thank you.
Ride. And I guess my question is just after working on it for so long, looking back, what would you say was the most difficult part of the process?
There's a lot of things about making this specific film that were harrowing. First off, it was originally supposed to be like an 8 or 9 day shoot back in 2020, right before COVID hit. And it was 4 guys, myself included, and we were all going to stay in the same spot. We thought we were booking a 1-bedroom apartment. We left it to one guy. He booked a studio apartment for the 4 guys. It was horrible. It was really trash. It was very smelly. And so writing that out for 8 days was difficult. A lot of honestly, the most difficult aspects were finding the movie in the edit. Dealing with certain actors can also be difficult when they want to bring something to the film that you don't necessarily feel like fits for a character. But honestly, most of this cast was a dream. I didn't really have any serious issues with anyone featured in this film. I don't know. The most difficult aspect, I think, was really just the editing.
So outside of getting Eric Roberts, what's like I know you said you spent a lot of time trying to find the edit. There's like
How'd you know I almost got Eric Roberts? Are you in the Discord?
yeah. Yeah, so okay, I sucked that in, but so you during filming, what was one thing that if you could go back and redo during that stage specifically, what would you do besides what I said?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I haven't thought about that question. Now thinking about that question is like, do I want to shoot more Mass Stay Lottery? It's like, nah, I really don't. If I could redo something, I would probably try to get more scenes with Buddy. Because Buddy, I think, was a terrific talent. Buddy Duress featured in Good Time, Heaven Knows What. Amazing actor. This is his final film. He plays 2 characters in the movie. I would have used the opportunity to shoot him more and featured him more because in the original script, the Ivan Amari character, who's the brother of Justin, was featured more. But realistically, I could only afford to get him for a certain amount of time, and he was also very touch and go. So maybe something like that. Maybe a little more attention to the special effects for the gore. I would have probably liked to add more of that, but again, budgetary reasons didn't allow that. I mean, honestly, there's not much I would want to redo.
Oh, hi. I'm a huge fan. I've been introduced to you through Izakino. Marty Jones.
Did you notice the Kino Corner's voice in there?
Yeah, I know.
Okay. Wow.
You're my favorite. You're my favorite member besides Kino.
Oh, thank you
and
so
Sawyer
much.
and so. First question is like, when will I get to see this again? Because I think it's a very dense film, and I can distribute it for streaming or DVDs or Blu-rays or.
I would love for somebody to take this off my hands, buy it, and distribute it. I don't think that's going to happen. So, luckily, I'm friends with a guy who is starting up his own Blu-ray distribution, and he showed me some prototypes for Mass Stay Lottery that look so ill. I honestly couldn't ask for anything more, and I care a lot about physical media presentation and things like that. I thought you guys did a stunning job with presenting the movie here. So it'll probably be something along those lines. I think I'm going to be touring it for a little bit before then. So it might not be until about November, December that Blu-ray will be released. But for the time being, I'd like to take it to different cities, maybe different countries if possible.
Another question.
Yep.
So I've been listening to your podcast, movies.
Yep.
I heard that you and Mumkey and Eggy might appear in another movie of yours.
Yeah, Mumkey, Jones, Simeon, Jimmy, and Eggy are in the follow-up to this movie. We shot that already. And we're coming to Boston for the screening of that. I think we're going to shoot something for what's going to be my 3rd movie, which is going to be about cryptocurrency, and it's called Bull Run.
Okay, hopefully you will release it here because you got a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's strange. Yeah, some of the earliest tickets purchased were for this film, and it's like right when we released tickets, tickets runs out, so like some come in for this. So I was like, what is going on? There's like some sort of following, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's little, but it's dedicated.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
So you don't see this ever streaming anywhere?
In terms of streaming, that I'm not all that well versed on the world of streaming and what kind of factors come into play with that. But if I can cut a deal, absolutely. I think what my plan currently is all right. We're going to put it out on physical media. We're going to put it out on Blu-ray, DVD, and then on my website mslfilm.com. I think what I really like the idea of putting out a couple of different versions of the movie. I like the idea of presenting this version of the movie. The original festival cut of the movie is a little bit different, not too much different. And then maybe like a very even denser 5-hour cut or so. I don't know. Right. Zack Snyder has size and Estee Lauder. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But that's currently the plan.
She had a question over here. Toby, I found your film very intriguing and strangely beautiful.
Thank you.
And different. It reminded me a little of Memento. That's the only thing I can.
Oh, interesting.
Compliment to you. But I was wondering, Ratke says, and I don't think he's telling the truth, that he doesn't judge Devlin. Do you, as the maker, judge any of your characters?
No, because I think they're all terrible people in the movie. Right now, me saying that is kind of judging them, right? But
do they have extenuating circumstances, or?
I think I'm very drawn to bad people as characters. I think even like morally complex or gray characters are kind of stale to me at this point. So if I can have somebody whose baseline, a lot of people would maybe agree is either bad, morally compromised, just annoying, and use that and build upon that, then that to me, as somebody who's a storyteller, is interesting.
They use sounds of him eating to kind of convey that.
Yeah.
I was wondering, since it's such a fresh cut of the film, did you have surprises in audience reaction that were different than what you expected, or what you expected? Did people laugh where you wanted them to, or not, or things like that?
That's a great question. I didn't really have any certain expectations coming into this screening except the worst case scenario, which is nobody liking the movie, nobody laughing at any point. But no, I think the biggest surprise was people laughing at parts of the movie that I maybe like smirked at myself when I was editing years ago. And then at this point, it's just very annoying to me to see and hear all over again. But no, people enjoying certain jokes and what have you that, weren't really brought up, didn't hit when I would get feedback notes from my producers or from friends that I gave cuts of the movie to. Yeah, so something along those lines.
Just curious if you have any kind of insight you would share about why you chose the title of Mass State Water.
I have a reason for that. I can't remember the reason, unfortunately. It's been so long. At one point, the script was titled Hobgoblin, which was based off the Vitali character. And then I worried for a moment. I was like, okay, but Disney owns Spider-Man, and what about this Hobgoblin character? It just made like a Venom movie. What if they make a Hobgoblin movie? I got competition. I got Disney breathing down my neck. Now, as luck would have it, I never obviously got an issue from Disney, but the Massachusetts State Lottery sent me a cease and desist back in 2020. I was like, hey, change your title or we're going to have a problem here. And, it's amazing what you can get away with if you just ignore threats and emails. So let's hope it stays out.
Well, it's cool. It's a bold film. And I guess we got to wrap up the Q&A, but just thank you for honoring us with your film and having it as a U.S. premiere. So I'm glad everyone appreciated it. So
anytime. Thank you very much for flying me out here and putting me in a nice Airbnb and showing the film.